Today, my name is Judy A. Mikovits. I'm a PhD biochemist and molecular biologist. So we first started working with the first human retroviruses. So at the time we thought that a type of T cell was the problem in the disease. And that was the T cell that was being killed, but it wasn't being killed by the virus. It was being killed by indirect mechanism. In 2009, we were working on autism and a disease called myalgic encephalomyelitis and this chronic fatigue syndrome. And it looked like a virus, a retrovirus, because those are the kinds of viruses that disrupt the immune system. Basically, the realization, the big oh my God of all of those sequences we've seen and all of those proteins and all of these contaminants are causing disease. The fact that they were real was just too much for 25 million Americans are infected with the viruses that came out of the lab, out of labs into humans via contaminated blood and vaccines. And that was so I was fired, jailed, without cause, without hearing, without any civil rights at all, just drug out of my house in shackles one day. Vaccines don't have to be made or regulated like drugs. So they do everything they can to keep the public from knowing that every single shot damages you, and you might not see the cancer for 2 decades. Our book, Plague, is at plaguethebook.com. You can listen to it. You don't have to read it.
So first of all, it's very well known in the research that there is a link between retroviral activity in the autistic children and autism. So that there's a very, very strong link with that. The only reason it has not been pursued because all the labs have been closed that could make the diagnosis. And so retroviruses incorporate themselves into the RNA and then activate an enzyme called reverse transcriptase, and then they reverse engineer themselves from there into your DNA. And once they're embedded in the DNA, they're there forever. And they need to be silenced by either methylation or acetylation. Those are the two big steps. The 2 different types of retroviruses that we'll talk about can infect the central nervous system and wreak havoc there. There is 2 kinds of retroviruses, the ones that you get like a flu from air, from the vaccines. Many of the retroviruses that we're exposed to are incorporated in our DNA. Not all of them are bad, but many of them are. An important part that I think is going to come up is that the retroviruses, by incorporating themselves in you, they also can tweak your own genome. And one of the papers that Judy gave me, one of them was fascinating to me because the MTHFR, you all know, right? Well, 10 years ago, we observed that we saw these kids with the MTHFR mutation, and then we said, well, you know, it must come from one of the parents. And it didn't. The parents had normal genes, both sides, but the kid had severely mutated, severe SNPs on the gene. And we were looking for an explanation, and there was a paper that Judy sent me that shows that the retroviruses can retrofit your DNA to fit them, and actually creating the MTHFR mutation. And then the treatment does not become giving more methyl B12 and SAMe, but the treatment becomes then to silence that section of the DNA. And so we have several cases now where the MTHFR mutation disappeared when we treated them for the retroviruses. So it's a much deeper level of treatment that is offered there. ADHD has been linked to retrovirus hyperactivity, schizophrenia, inflammatory brain diseases, MS, huge number of papers on breast cancer, autoimmunity, diabetes type 1 and type 2. So the vaccine issue, there's certainly just a highlighted part here. retroviral reverse transcriptate in attenuated live virus vaccines. So many of the vaccines are full of these viruses. Last year, 2 beautiful studies came out on first time there was a cohort study, a group of vaccinated children versus unvaccinated. The vaccinated group had 14 times the incidence of severe lifelong allergies and neurological disorders. 14 times.
Veamos cómo actúa un retrovirus en nuestro cuerpo. Este es un tipo de retrovirus que tiene una envoltura membranosa con 2 moléculas de ácido ribonucleico que llamaremos ARN, y además contiene enzimas como la reverso transcriptasa que transcribe el genoma del virus de ARN a ácido desoxirribonucleico que llamaremos ADN. Este retrovirus infecta a las células T. Para poder penetrar en esta célula, el virus utiliza receptores llamados CD4 que están en la superficie de las células T. Los receptores CD4 se unen a las proteínas del retrovirus. Esta unión le permite fijarse a este correceptor llamado quemoquina. Luego, la proteína del retrovirus perfora la membrana de la célula T y penetra en su interior. Luego, las membranas se aproximan hasta fundirse entre ellas y así este retrovirus infecta la célula. Ahora, las proteínas del retrovirus se despolimerizan y liberan el ARN viral. Acá vemos cómo la reverso transcriptasa viral usa los nucleótidos de la célula T infectada y convierte el ARN del virus en una cadena simple de ADN con errores, o sea que queda degradado. Esta cadena simple de ADN luego se vuelve a transcribir en una doble cadena de ADN. Luego, esta doble cadena, conjuntamente con otra enzima del retrovirus llamada integrasa, es transportada a través de un poro al interior del núcleo de la célula infectada, en donde se encuentran los cromosomas de la célula infectada. La integrasa corta el cromosoma e inserta el ADN transcripto. Ahora el cromosoma del retrovirus se copiará y será transmitido a las células hijas cada vez que la célula infectada se divida. Una vez integrado el ADN del retrovirus, las ARN polimerasas pueden transcribirlo, dando lugar al ARN mensajero que saldrá al citosol de la célula infectada para ser aquí traducido por los ribosomas celulares. Luego de otra serie de procesos, se producen los nuevos viriones que pueden ahora dirigirse a infectar a otros linfocitos o células T en el torrente sanguíneo. Un solo linfocito T infectado por un retrovirus puede dar lugar a miles de nuevas partículas virales infecciosas que extenderán la infección.